At 28 years old, Jake bought his first rental property. Everyone told him he was crazy. Too young. Too risky. The housing market could crash any day. 5 years later, he owned 3 properties worth $850,000, had $200,000 in equity, and was living completely rent-free while his tenants paid his mortgage. But here's the part nobody talks about. His first year as a landlord was a complete disaster. A $40,000 disaster, to be exact. This is the real story of how he turned that catastrophe into a fortune. Let me introduce you to Jake. 28 years old, working as a project manager, making $72,000 a year. Not rich, but comfortable. He was renting a 1-bedroom apartment for $1,400 a month. That's $16,800 a year going straight into his landlord's pocket with nothing to show for it. Jake did the math one night. Over 5 years, he'd paid $84,000 in rent. Money gone forever. Meanwhile, his landlord was building equity with Jake's payments. That realization kept him up at night. He started watching real estate videos, reading books, and listening to podcasts. Everyone made it sound so simple. Buy a property, rent it out, collect passive income. Repeat. Build wealth while you sleep. If you want to hear more stories like this about building real wealth, hit that subscribe button. I share real money stories every week here on Strategic Income. So Jake decided to take the leap. But this is where the story gets interesting. Because nothing went according to plan. Jake spent 3 months house hunting. He wasn't looking for just any property. He was looking for a duplex. The strategy is called house hacking. You buy a multi-unit property, live in one unit, and rent out the others. Your tenants essentially pay your mortgage while you build equity. In March 2019, he found it. A duplex in a decent neighborhood. Purchase price, $340,000. It needed some cosmetic work, but the bones were good. 2 units, each with 2 bedrooms. Here's how Jake's numbers worked. He put down 3.5% using an FHA loan. That's $11,900. He had saved $15,000 total, so he had a small cushion for closing costs and initial repairs. His monthly mortgage payment would be $2,100, including property taxes and insurance. The plan was simple. Live in one unit. Rent the other for $1,400. His out-of-pocket housing cost would be just $700 a month instead of the $1,400 he was paying in rent. Plus, he'd be building equity. Jake closed on the property in April. He was ecstatic. He spent the first 2 weeks painting, updating light fixtures, and cleaning. He moved into Unit A. Unit B was ready to rent by May 1st. He listed it for $1,400. Within a week, he had a tenant. A young couple, both with jobs, has good credit scores. They signed a 1-year lease. Everything was perfect. For about 3 months, in August, Jake noticed water staining on his ceiling. It was coming from Unit B. He went upstairs to investigate. The tenants had a small leak under their kitchen sink that they hadn't mentioned. Small leak? Not anymore. It had been dripping for weeks, causing water damage to the flooring, the subflooring, and Jake's ceiling below. Repair cost, $3,200. Jake paid it. He was annoyed, but these things happen. Lesson learned. Do regular property inspections. September brought the next disaster. The furnace died. Not just broken, completely dead. It was 22 years old and had been on borrowed time. Jake knew he'd need to replace it eventually, but he thought he had more time. Replacement cost, $4,800. Now Jake was getting nervous. His $3,100 emergency cushion was gone. He put the furnace on his credit card. October seemed quiet. Too quiet, then November hit. Jake got a call at work. The tenant from Unit B water was pouring through their bathroom ceiling from the attic. A pipe had frozen and burst during an early cold snap. Jake rushed over. Water everywhere. The ceiling collapsed in the bathroom. Water damage in 2 rooms. The tenants were understandably upset. Emergency plumber, $850. Ceiling repair, $2,100. Drywall and repainting, $1,800. Damaged tenant belongings. Jake had to reimburse, $1,200. Total November damage, $5,950. Jake sat in his car after meeting with the contractor and actually cried. He'd lost $14,000 in 7 months. His credit cards were maxed. His savings were gone. He was eating ramen and skipping social events to save money. His dad's words echoed in his head. "You're too young for this. You're going to lose everything." Jake almost sold the property. He looked up real estate agents, calculated what he'd lose on the sale. But something stopped him. He called a friend who had rental properties. The friend said something that changed Jake's perspective. "Every landlord has a nightmare first year. You're not unlucky. You're just getting all the deferred maintenance out of the way. The previous owner kicked the can down the road. You're fixing what should have been fixed years ago. This property will print money for you once you get through this." Jake decided to tough it out. He took on freelance project management work on weekends. He cut his expenses to the bone. He used a 0% APR balance transfer to consolidate his credit card debt and give himself breathing room. By February 2020, things stabilized. No major repairs. Rent is coming in on time. The mortgage is getting paid. Then something unexpected happened. The market shifted. Property values in his area started climbing rapidly. The duplex he bought for $340,000 in April 2019 was worth $385,000 by March 2020. He'd gained $45,000 in equity in less than a year, even after the nightmare expenses. The disasters had forced him to update everything: a new furnace, new plumbing, and new flooring in Unit B. The property was actually in better shape than when he bought it, and now it was worth more. Jake's tenants renewed their lease. He raised the rent to $1,500. The market rate had increased. His out-of-pocket housing costs dropped to $600 a month. By 2021, Jake refinanced to a conventional loan, pulling out some equity to pay off his credit cards completely. The property was now worth $425,000. In 2022, he bought his second property using the equity from his first as the down payment, another duplex. This time he knew what to look for. He got an inspection that actually meant something to him. He budgeted $10,000 for unexpected repairs. This property had zero major issues in the first year. By 2024, Jake owned 3 properties. He moved into a single-family home and rented out both units in his original duplex. All 3 properties were generating $3,800 in monthly rental income against $2,600 in mortgage payments. That's $1,200 monthly cash flow, plus equity building in all 3 properties. Let's look at where Jake stands today. 5 years after that brutal first year. Property portfolio. Original duplex, worth $485,000. Mortgage balance $290,000 equals $195,000 equity. Second duplex, worth $395,000, mortgage balance $330. 0 equals $65,000 equity. Single family rental, worth $285,000, mortgage balance $245,000 equals $40,000 equity. Total equity, $300,000. Total property value, $1,165,000. Monthly cash flow, $1,200 after all expenses. But here's what really changed for Jake. His housing is completely free. His tenants pay all his mortgages. He lives rent-free while building nearly $2,000 in equity every single month across 3 properties just from principal paydown, that $40,000 disaster first year. It forced Jake to learn everything fast. Property management, contractor relationships, inspection red flags, proper maintenance schedules, tenant screening, cash reserves. He says now that losing $40,000 in year 1 made him $300,000 by year 5, because he learned the lessons when the stakes were relatively small. The irony? His friends who said he was crazy are still renting, still paying $1,800 a month for apartments with nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, Jake is building wealth every single month, even while he sleeps. So what can we learn from Jake's story? Here are the critical lessons. Lesson 1. The first year will test you. Almost every successful real estate investor has horror stories from their first property. The difference between those who succeed and those who quit is simple. The successful ones pushed through. Budget for disasters. They will happen. Lesson 2. House hacking is the cheat code. Living in one unit while renting the others is the fastest way to build wealth with real estate. Your living expenses drop dramatically while you build equity. It's not glamorous, but it works. Lesson 3. Buy the worst house in the best neighborhood. Jake's property needed work, but the location was solid. Property values increased faster than average because the neighborhood was strong. Location beats condition every time for long-term appreciation. Lesson 4. Real estate rewards patience, not perfection. Jake made mistakes, lots of them. But he stayed in the game. 5 years later, those mistakes barely matter. The market appreciated, equity built. Tenants paid down his mortgages. Time did the heavy lifting. The point isn't that everyone should go buy a duplex tomorrow. The point is that real wealth building often looks messy in the middle. Jake's story wasn't Instagram perfect. It was real, and that's exactly why it worked. Here's my question for you. What's stopping you from taking your first step in real estate investing? Is it fear? Lack of knowledge? Not enough savings? Drop your honest answer in the comments. You might be surprised by how many people share the same concerns. And if Jake's story resonated with you, subscribe to Strategic Income for simple explanations of money, income, and financial systems. I break down real wealth building stories like this every single week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next story.